This is Italy, which is soon going to disappear from the world map. This is a village in Italy where thousands of people used to live. But today, this entire village is deserted, and there are 6,000 more villages like this in Italy that have been completely deserted for the past few years. Similarly, this is a very famous 300-year-old Campoche school in Italy, where millions of Italian children have studied. But today, there is not a single student in this school. Teachers in Italy are being fired because there are no students in the classrooms. In 2015, Italy's health minister made a statement that Italy is a dying country, and the reason for this is extremely low birth rate. Italy's total fertility rate is the lowest it has been in the last 50 years. According to predictions, Italy's population is going to decrease significantly in the coming years. Italy, which was once famous throughout Europe for its large families, is now at a point where it will soon enter an economic dark age. Italy's real estate will collapse because there will be no one live in houses. There won't be any young people to join the army, and there won't be any labor for factories and industries. In the next 10 years, Italy's entire economy can completely collapse. Today, the average age in Italy is 48 years, while in Pakistan it is 21 years, and in India it is 28 years. 24% of Italy's population is over 65 years old, and this number is continuously increasing. But the real question is that how did Italy end up in this situation? Nearly a century ago, Italy's birth rate was 5.2, and until the 1970s, Italy's birth rate was above 2. So what has happened in the last 50 years? And this trend is visible not just in Italy, but also in other European countries, and even in Japan. There are 3 reasons for the declining population of Italy. First of all, if we go back in history, 100 years ago, Italy was an agricultural country. Most of the people were farmers and were engaged in agriculture. Obviously, the most important thing for a farmer is to have helping hands, which is why Italians used to have more children so they could work together. The more children they had, the more earners there would be. Then came industrialization, and the salary system came into place. Now, 2 children were earning as much as 5 children used to earn before. And finally, after World War II, when Italy recovered, it introduced the social welfare system. Now, children were no longer the responsibility of the parents, but of the state. Their education and health were all funded by the state, so people no longer had any incentive to have more children. That is why the birth rate in Italy has been declining since the 1950s. And this is a trend that is seen not only in Italy, but worldwide. Except for Africa, the fertility rate has been declining globally since the 1980s. Now, if we talk specifically about Italy, some government policies also discourage young people from having children. For example, there is a concept in Italy called blank resignation, which every woman has to sign before getting a job. A blank resignation means that as soon as any female worker gets pregnant, the company can fire her without any prior notice or reason. In a country where 41% of women are employed, who would want to have children under such a policy? This is why Italian women delay marriage and having children due to their jobs. Another major reason is that unlike the rest of Europe, Italy does not have birthright nationality. This means that if you are an immigrant and non-Italian and your child is born in Italy, they will not automatically receive Italian nationality. In USA and other European countries, your child automatically becomes a national, but this is not the case in Italy. This is why immigrants living in Italy move to Northern Europe when their family expands. In a country which is already lacking a young generation, such laws are worsening the situation. Although the Italian government is now considering revising these laws, because given the current situation, if immigrants keep leaving, there will be no one left to work in Italy. There will only be retired pensioners with no young people to generate their pensions. Similarly, Italy's health sector will also be overburdened because there won't be enough doctors and nurses to take care of so many elderly people. The third major reason for the population crisis in Italy is the job culture. According to OECD research, 70% of Italians aged 18 to 34 are financially dependent on their parents. According to a UN report, 43% of jobs in Italy are non-permanent, and the reason for this is that Italy has experienced 3 recessions in the past 10 years, and today, Italy's debt to GDP ratio has increased to 145%. This means that against every dollar generated in income, Italy has to take a loan of $145 to cover its expenses. Today, the situation in Italy has come to a point that Domino's Pizzas had to close all their stores due to a lack of customers. In such circumstances, it takes a long time for young people to become financially independent, which is why they are also delaying marriage. In 2002, the average age of men getting married in Italy was 31 years, which has now reached 37 years in 2024. If this situation continues, Italy will enter a dark age. In such a scenario, the Italian government needs to follow the Swedish model. A few years ago, Sweden was in a similar position as Italy, but then the Swedish government announced a childcare policy, according to which couples would receive subsidies based on the number of children they had. Similarly, Sweden was the first country to introduce parental leave. In 1974, Sweden passed a law that both parents must take 16 months of paid leave after the birth of a child. This 1.5 year of leave is the reason Sweden successfully controlled its declining birth rate. Similarly, Italy needs to relax its immigration policies and protect female employees from things like the blank resignation. If Italy does not bring its birth rate up to 2.1 within the next 5 years, the consequences will be very dire. Now, even at the global level, Elon Musk is repeatedly saying that the biggest threat to humanity is population collapse, and this seems strange because scientists have always told us that there is going to be a population explosion and that in the next 100 years the population will reach 16 billion. But the reality is totally opposite. Since the 1980s, the birth rate has been declining worldwide, even in high populous countries like Pakistan and India. In 1990, Pakistan's birth rate was 6.3, which has now dropped to 3.4. The world population is going to peak in the next 20 years, and after 2050, contrary to all predictions, the world population will start to decline. Japan, Italy, USA, the UK, France, Germany, and other Western countries are going to be the most affected by this population collapse. What effect this population collapse will have on the world economy and environment is a very debatable topic. What do you all think? Is population collapse a good thing or a bad thing? Please share your opinions in the comments below. These are all the sources we consulted for this video. See you in the next video with another interesting topic. Take care.